Hello, now I think it's time to talk about Sony's E3 2010 press conference. They start with this horrible montage intro with terrible music in the background. I know they need an intro, but don't keep it so long. Then Jack Tretton appears, and he talks and talks and talks. He brags about how the PS3 is the only console with something for the whole family and built-in Wi-Fi, which is completely wrong. Then there is all this talk about 3D. After 10 full minutes into the press conference, we finally get some gameplay to show how the 3D looks, but unless you were in the audience, you wouldn't see it. So this is just average footage of a game I don't care for at all, and it drags on and on. Then there's more talk about 3D and another montage of random games. I won't buy an expensive 3D TV. I'm already aiming towards the 3DS. Then finally they start talking about the PlayStation Move, but there's nothing here we don't know already. Then they show an old video of people talking about the Move's precision.
The PlayStation Move has buttons, which are critical to precision.
Yes, we get it, buttons are important. They talk so much about it because they know Kinect doesn't have it. Finally, after a half hour into the conference, we get something interesting. Sorcery for PlayStation Move. It does look very cool with all the spells, but you just waggle the controller to cast spells and move around with that crappy sub-controller. You could easily make the same game with any controller. Still, it looks fun and interesting. Second Move game was Tiger Woods PGA Tour, which is an old game patched to work with Move, so I don't care. Third Move game was only a trailer of Heroes on the Moon, Move, but it will use the Move in many different ways. But it used that sub-controller. What's up with that thing? It only shows Sony's lack of innovation. I also want to bring up a little topic here about this motion control war. Everyone seems to love the Move because it has supposedly hardcore games, and everyone wants the Move to play generic first-person shooters like SOCOM 4 and Killzone 3 that can be played much easier with a controller. What else hardcore does the Move offer? Oh, Heavy Rain, an old QuickTime event game that will now use motion control, and it looks lame as hell. The fight lights out. Perfect example of how the Move is a bloodthirsty magnet. It looks so hardcore. It's boring and unresponsive, but it's still so hardcore because it has blood and no colors. That's how the brain of these hardcore guys works. As soon as they see a depressing black and white red bloody game, they need it because playing it makes them hardcore. You know what my most anticipated Move game is? Start a Party. Yes, it looks fun and it actually takes great advantage of the Move. Anyways, back to the conference. They advertised Coca-Cola and that Coca-Cola will advertise PlayStation. This is just a waste of time, but then suddenly Kevin Butler appears on the scene. This was probably the highlight of the press conference. It started up as a little stand-up show, but gradually turned into this long speech. I was expecting an American flag to appear behind him. Then they have to talk some more about the Move and all the old games that will feature Move through a software update. I really don't care about all these patches that will make old games work with Move. I want new content. Then they have to campaign the PSP with Marcus, the trailers and all that useless stuff. The PSP is completely dead and it's just a waste of time. Then they brag more about PSN and the pukingly awful PSN Home. 50 million registered users? Bullshit, PS3 hasn't even sold that much. Then finally came Little Big Planet 2. I do look forward to this game. The first LVP has gotten a little bit stale, but hopefully the sequel can make the franchise fresh again. Then they talk more about PSN. It's funny how they say that our competitors, wink wink, charge $50 for what PSN users get for free, and that's not gonna change. But a second later, they announced that now you can also pay $50 for some other random crap. However, PSN Plus won't improve the online capabilities like Xbox Live Gold does. It only gives you free games. Yeah, pay $50 for free PSN games. What an excellent deal! After that, they talked about two games from EA, Medal of Honor and Dead Space 2, that are both multi-platform games but will have PS3 exclusive content. So couldn't they show us the exclusive content instead? What happens after that I don't want to talk about, so we might as well skip it altogether. Next is Final Fantasy XIV Online. I hate Final Fantasy, I hate MMOs, this game will suck and blow, moving on. another multi-platform game, and then another multi-platform game. What are all these games doing on the Sony press conference? And then they have another montage video of multi-platform and exclusive games mixed together. And I gotta say, I get very tired of all these montages. Then comes the boring video of the generic Gran Turismo 5 that takes 1,000 years to get released. Why couldn't they show us the new MotorStorm instead? There wasn't time? They had to spend that time on bragging instead?
Our platform has so much more to offer than any of our competition.
And then finally comes a big blockbuster, Infamous 2. It does actually look really cool. And the last thing they show is Twisted Metal, which has been around since PS1, but I never heard of it. Why do the cars act like humans? So that was the Sony's E3 press conference, with long and boring talks, crappy montage trailers with awful music, useless ads, useless campaigns, 3D footage that's not 3D, and multi-platform games up the ass. This was a boring and lengthy press conference. While they do have some good stuff coming, why brag so much all the time?
It's the only console with Blu-Ray.
What we're working on is really the next generation of user interface.
Built-in Wi-Fi.
PS3 motion controller, I would say, is head and shoulders over anything else that's out there for console.
Integrated hard drives in every unit.
The PlayStation Move has buttons,
It's also got what we in the future call buttons.
And a free and growing portfolio of network services.
PlayStation Move changes everything. A decade from now, when we look back at this year, 2010, it will most likely be remembered as the year that PlayStation brought authentic 3D to the industry, creating new